This is the FlipNerd.com Expert Real Estate Investing Show, the show for real estate investors, whether you're a veteran or brand new. I'm your host, Mike Hambright, and each week I bring you a new expert guest that will share their knowledge and lessons with you. If you're excited about real estate investing, believe in personal responsibility, and taking control of your life and financial destiny, you're in the right place. This is episode number 428. My guest today is Travis Baucom out of Waco, Texas, a little bit south of the DFW area. Today we talk about how to operate a successful Airbnb business. There really are a few prominent trends that have happened for real estate investors kind of in our industry over the past few years, and short-term rentals through platforms like Airbnb is definitely one of those trends. As investors in a competitive part of the market cycle, it's only natural for us to start to look for ways to generate higher revenue out of the same houses that we might otherwise fix and flip or keep as a rental to make up for the fact that it's harder to find those deals right now. If you considered jumping into Airbnb as a business model for your real estate investing business, you're going to learn a lot in today's show. Let's go ahead and get started. Please help me welcome Travis Baucom to the show. Hey, Travis, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mike, how are you doing?
Good. Good to see you, my friend.
You too.
Yeah, it's been a while. So I'm excited to talk about this. We started talking about what we were going to talk about today here just before we started recording, and got on the topic of Airbnb. And it's actually something that there's obviously a lot of buzz around Airbnb for investors, a couple of info type products that are out there. And I think I told you, it's something that we've been looking at a little bit here lately. Specifically, my family likes to travel, and we've started thinking about, well, why don't we just buy properties in the areas we like to travel to and then Airbnb them out when we're not using them, which is like most of the year, right?
Right.
And so when you said, hey, this is something we could talk about today, I got intrigued myself. So I'm excited to talk about it today. For those that are listening in, we're going to be talking about how to run a successful Airbnb business. Specifically, Travis has kind of come up with 5 C's, like 5 things you have to do really well to run a successful business. But hey, before we jump into that, Travis, for those that don't know you, tell us a little bit about your background and yourself.
Yeah. So I've been, I live in Waco, Texas, and we buy kind of a 2-hour radius around Waco, buy about 9 or 10 houses a month, and we are by far the largest house flipper, house buyer in Waco right now. There's not a ton of competition, but yeah. there's a decent amount of small little Tommy the house flipper, Johnny the house flippers going on that are kind of getting in the way. But yeah, we've been doing it for 6 years. Started off like most people back in 2012. There was deals on the MLS. We bought those until we couldn't buy them anymore. And then we had to learn how do you get the good deals left? And, so we were part of a group. We've recently left that group and doing everything on our own. And it's been great. Just, I never knew until a few years ago that you could buy houses at such a high volume rate. So it's been a fun journey and a great experience. And it's just been a completely life-changing business for me. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And for those that don't know, Waco is about hour and a half, 2 hours south of the Dallas-Fort Worth market, kind of between here and Austin. And in fact, up until I knew you, obviously for several years now, for us, Waco was just kind of the halfway point between Austin. So we never really stopped. We're like, okay, or if we're at Waco, we're halfway there, right? But it's a great little city, and it's obviously changed quite a bit over the past few years because of Chip and Joanna, I guess, huh?
Yeah, well, 3 years ago, there was really there's very few things you'd want to come to Waco for. And now it's because of the Silos and because of Magnolia's hit TV show, all these little tiny other businesses have come around that are kind of neat to go check out. And it's just become kind of like an interior decorating mecca.
Yeah.
It's blowing most of us away.
Yeah. But it creates opportunity, right? And that's kind of what you're doing something very specific in Waco, but I think people will see that there's opportunities like this all over the country. And I think you probably agree with this, the Airbnb model. And I have friends that they turn houses into assisted living facilities. Like there's a lot of things that you could do with houses that aren't like you and I have cut from the cloth of we're wholesaling, rehabbing, and keeping as rentals. And that's kind of one tool in your tool belt, the traditional path. And in a market where it's harder to buy houses than it has been in a while, it's more competitive. It's only natural for this evolution to start happening with like, how can I create more value on the back end if I have to pay more to get it, right?
Right. Yeah. And that's it. It's like, okay, if the market is saying we have to pay 78 to 82%, and then we're netting, it's costing us 10% to sell, we're looking at margins of 8 to 10%.
Right.
So in our market, that's about a profit of about $15,000 to $18,000. And you have to do a lot of houses to make a good living doing that. And so with a staff of 4, but with these Airbnbs, what we're finding is, traditional rentals, you're making about $200 a month here. However, with Airbnbs, a house that you would typically flip, you can make the same amount of money that you make flipping it on an Airbnb if it's ran well and if you hold it for a good year. So our first one that we did, it's like a $550, maybe $600 rental type house.
Yep.
We went in there, made it look really shabby chic, made it look real cute, and man, that thing rents out. So in June we had 3 vacancies, and I'm sure we could have filled those up if we would have lowered the price to like $60 or something, but it was almost 100% full.
Wow.
And we're getting $150 to $200 a night on average.
Wow.
And it's I think in June our projected revenue is $5,700. That's gross revenue, and then our expenses are about $1,200.
Okay.
So we're looking at $3,000 to $4,000 net profit, on this model. And so it's been great. Currently, I would say the app or the company Airbnb.com has made the vacation rental space hip, cool, not creepy. Whereas, VRBO.com was like, man, I'm staying in some dude's cabin. It's just, I don't know this guy, but Airbnb makes it just feel a lot more safer with the app and that sort of thing. So
that's awesome. If you're an active real estate investor already doing deals and looking to double or triple your business, you should consider joining the Investor Fuel Real Estate Investor Mastermind. We're a small group of investors that share our best practices, tips, and tricks with one another in an effort to all win. We limit our membership to only 1 to 2 members per market, so everyone shares their knowledge, tips, and tricks openly and honestly. Our members include some buying 1 to 2 houses a month, up to some of the most respected investors and leaders in the real estate investing industry, some of which have personally done over 1,000 deals. If you'd like to be considered for our invitation-only world-class mastermind, please visit investorfuel.com to request your personal invitation. Our next meeting is coming up quickly. Go to investorfuel.com now to learn more.
I don't know this guy, but Airbnb makes it just feel a lot more safer with the app and that sort of thing. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. So, for those that are listening, I mean, I can't imagine there's anybody listening right now that isn't familiar with Airbnb, but effectively instead of renting at a hotel, if there even is hotel space available, there's people that are renting out houses. And what happened is, I think it started with like, hey, there's a spot on my couch. Like that's how Airbnb kind of started. Like I've got a spare bedroom, and it's kind of evolved into renting entire houses, sometimes luxury homes.
For sure, for big parties and frat parties, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and it's enabled investors. What's happened over the last few years is it was just people with like extra space, or I don't need that house anymore, or I live here, but I'm traveling for the next 3 months, so let me just kind of lease my house out while I'm not there. And it's turned into really a business model, right, with investors that were doing something else, saying, hey, I can, instead of turning this into a traditional rental, I can turn it into an Airbnb. And because you're able to rent it at like more of a nightly rate, you get more than you would if you're renting it on a monthly basis.
Yeah, our worst month, we still netted over $700, and that was a bad month. And so, and we've been able to set up an automated, so an Airbnb can be managerially intensive if you don't set up the management correctly. And so we've got a dry cleaner we get a lady that when, at 11 a.m. she comes, she makes ready the house, she fills the toiletries up. One thing is you can get toiletries online. You can get a bulk of 100. shampoos or 100 soaps for $8.35. At first, we were buying them at Target and spending a ton of money, like 50 bucks a month. And now we're getting a little smarter. But yeah, it's, if you think about it, like, so Baylor is in Waco. A family comes down, they can get 3 or 4 hotel rooms for $200 a night, $300 a night. You're looking at $800 to $1,200 for a hotel room, and you still don't have a common place to meet. Or you can rent out a nice big house where all your whole family can sit there or can sleep there, and there's communal areas, that's where the TVs to watch, so you can kind of throw like a party, or at least have everyone in a centrally located area, and it's probably going to be half the price of staying in a hotel, typically speaking. And so,
well, let's get in, because I think a lot of people, they understand the concept here. I think people that are watching right now, or people that are not already doing it, but let's talk a little bit about what it takes to run a successful Airbnb business. And I know you have come up with kind of 5 C's to cover for what it takes to run a successful Airbnb business. So it's funny because a lot of people don't realize this. This is episode number 428. I am such a student of this business, and just business and business people and an entrepreneur, that honestly, I'm the host right now, but I'm excited to talk about this. You're going to see me taking like notes here, so bear with me, but let's kind of jump into it.
Yeah, sure. So I would say the 5 C's to a successful Airbnb are as follows. Comfy beds. And I'll come back to that and explain what I mean by comfy beds.
Just kind of list them, and then we'll come back to them. And
I'll do that. Comfy beds, clean house, cute, coffee, and conveniently located. So in Waco, that would be within 5 minutes to Magnolia or campus or downtown, which Waco's kind of a small town, so pretty much most things are that close. But our Airbnb is 1.7 miles away from the silos, so it is always full.
Okay.
But to go back, so let's start with the first one, comfy beds. My wife has been able to make this just perfect. So one thing that a lot of people don't think, house flippers are like, oh yeah, we get this house, we're done, it's gonna cost $30,000 to fix up. But if you want to make it Airbnb, you gotta add another $10 a square foot for the stuff on the wall and the beds and the toiletries and et cetera, et cetera.
All the furnishings, yeah.
Yeah. So what we do is we go. So you can get everything on Amazon. So we go to Amazon and we get a bed frame. And it's $89. It's black and it's tall, and it's foldable, and that keeps you from needing a box springs, which is great because when you have less things that stuff like bed bugs can get into, then you got to think about stuff like that as well. Yeah. And so we get that crate or that bed frame. We put a $200 mattress that we get at like a mattress wholesale place, and the key. So that's 4 inches. The key is on top of that we get a 4-inch memory foam topper on it. And then, so that's 8 inches. We wrap that with like plastic linen, so like soil, things don't get on it. And we don't
let's make a list of the thing. You want to make a list of the things that could get on? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's like, mainly. I don't know. I don't know.
But you have to think about, right? It's like a rental. Sometimes you do rental grade repairs, and you think about the maintenance, like what if I have to replace this tile or
right.
You're thinking about kind of the durability of this, so you don't have to, instead of it just looking nice and having no durability, you got to think about what it's going to take to maintain it, right?
Yeah. So once you put the plastic on it, if you did it the way we do it, it costs you about $300 for a king size bed. So that means the twin bed is smaller, and we have 74 5-star reviews, and I think a good third of them talk about our beds.
Wow.
And it's literally the cheapest bed that you can make. Me and my wife, bought one of those really fancy, Silicon Valley mattress startup companies that they'll ship it to you in a big roll. Yeah. And one thing was like $1,500. We could have just, spent $300 and had a nice Airbnb bed.
Yeah.
So
comfy beds are important. You got to think about like the experience. I mean, let's be honest. You're thinking about the experience. You're trying to create testimonials, right? I mean, when you're in that business, you have to. You're like a hotel. You got to think about what will people say when they leave here, right?
Yeah, it's a mini hotel, and you're kind of in a vulnerable position. So if you don't, like if the AC breaks, like a typical rental, you're like, okay, well, I can get my AC guy out tomorrow. Like, no, you get him out in 30 minutes, or
Yeah,
you're going to be at risk of getting a crappy review, which really affects your search ratings and really
sure,
affects your
sure.
overall production and
Yeah,
occupancy rate.
yeah,
So I think the key, so the second C would be clean. Obviously, you got to keep a clean property, but the way to do it is really going back to the managerial intensive nature of an Airbnb. Finding someone like a stay-at-home mom who can go and clean for 2 hours for $30. Our house is about 700 square feet, or the one I'm referring to is, and she cleans it. She takes the or she takes all the linens, puts it in a green bag, takes it to the dry cleaner, picks up the other linens, brings it back. The linens that she dropped the day before or the last time she was at the dry cleaners.
yeah,
And then she installs that. She turns on a diffuser and like an essential oil diffuser, and it's ready for the next guest. And so essentially, the guest is walking in to a clean house with nice smelling linens, and you got an essential oil diffuser going. So it's very, very peaceful, kind of like a
yeah.
spa-like experience. And man, it's been, I would say it's one of the more fun things we do, just because we get to add to people's experiences of Waco, and it's a town that we really love.
Yeah.
And so it's great to see other people love it that are from Indiana or Massachusetts or whatever.
And for stuff like that with cleaning, so typically with Airbnb, the renter, I guess, is typically paying a cleaning surcharge, right?
Yeah, there's a cleaning fee that Airbnb charges, and it's anywhere, well, you can, Airbnb doesn't charge it, the host charges it, and so
Right.
we charge $35 to $40.
Okay.
We pay our cleaner, I think we pay her $12 an hour, so it takes her about 2 hours. It's $24, and it works like clockwork. And
Yeah.
she's turning it over 4 times a week, and so that ends up being about $100 extra for her, and she's got it down to science. It doesn't take her long at all.
That's great. And because of that surcharge that's getting mostly paid, doesn't sound like you're having to subsidize it much. You do things like take sheets to get laundered instead of like, sometimes people in all areas of real estate try to do the cheap route, right? So they're bringing them home, and you've got your wife washing other people's sheets and stuff like
Linens,
that.
right? Oh no, that's how we started it. Like, I remember after like the 3rd month in, I just remember telling my wife, I'm like, I think the washer and dryer are constantly running. Is that correct? And she goes, yeah, it's because we're always doing linens for the Airbnb. And I was like, we need to fix that. So that's where we came up with the dry cleaner idea. I think that's the only dry cleaner in town that was interested in helping us out of about 5 or 6 calls.
Yeah.
So.
But you start to, what we're talking about here is how you can start to get efficient, right? And you start to get systems and processes in place and solutions for things so that you don't necessarily have to do them.
Yeah, and it goes back to like the whole reason why most people are in real estate is they just want passive income. It's like real estate's almost like the lazy man's game. We sit around, we wait for the first of the month, we get some rent, and then we kind of, if it's enough, we kind of live life however we want. If it's not, then we got to do some wholesales and flips and that sort of thing. So
yeah.
So it fits right in there on the passive income, and it's the great thing is there's some people, they'll like rent out an apartment. We haven't done that. We like controlling our assets, and the whole reason we actually like owning the Airbnb as opposed to just renting it and then Airbnb a leased out property.
Right.
We don't want to be. We don't want our nice furnishings to be thrown out on the curb if we piss off the landlord, and
Right.
so yeah, it pushes out cash, that's for sure.
Yeah. So with the cleaning part, though, you have a process where the woman that's cleaning it, she knows exactly what to do, probably is kind of eyes and ears, so you don't have to go there to say, hey, if something looks like it's like outside of the scope of what you do, like just let us know that there's an issue. Or I assume that person is kind of like your eyes and ears for you, right?
Yeah, she definitely has ownership. She takes ownership in the property, and so if she, there's been a few times where she's been out of town or something like that, and she'll have to get another cleaning lady or a couple to come in and take care of it. And she is extremely protective of how it comes out. So
Right.
very anal about the quality, and so
Yeah, and on the cleaning
that's a great
side,
percent in our
with Airbnbs, so most people are not getting the linens changed daily, right? It's like probably after each stay. Is that typically how it's done?
Yeah, it's not like a hotel where they come in and change it daily. It's we have a 2-night minimum, so they come, they stay Monday, Tuesday, we clean it, Wednesday, Thursday, clean, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So there's no expectation for you. It would probably be extremely awkward if you went in and tried to turn down the beds every day.
Yeah. Right. Cool. And people don't expect that because it's more of a home versus a hotel. So they're kind of like,
The bed
nobody
and
does that
breakfast
for me at
style.
my house, right? So I don't expect it here.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay. So the third C you said was cute. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the goal is to not go overboard. It's amazing what like some old wood that you find on the side of the road. If you put the right phrase on that old piece of wood, you can sell it for $50 or whatever. So
Yeah.
so we got most of our stuff at Hobby Lobby or some like junk stores. Like the people that refinish furniture, that sort of thing. That's where most of our furnishings came from. You need to make it look really appealing, and so we wanted. Our goal was to make it as magnolia looking as possible.
Yeah. That's your audience, right?
A ton of money. Yeah. That's the whole reason people come to Waco, is they want to see the old cute houses that Joanna has done, and just the cheap old houses basically.
Yeah. I know some people that have some Airbnbs near Cowboy Stadium, and you want to probably make them feel like you're in town to watch a Cowboys game, because that's what most people are renting for.
Yeah, you probably have some cool Dallas Cowboy memorabilia, that sort of thing on the walls.
Yeah. So just kind of replace what you're doing, the cuteness of it, like trying to make kind of magnolia-fy it, right? For folks that are listening right now, hey, if you're doing one in Vail, like you should probably have pictures of skiing on the walls and stuff like that, like whatever kind of theme is of why people are coming there.
Yeah, because you're essentially, you own a mini hotel is what you're really owning.
Right.
And so you want to make sure that guest has the best experience as possible, which is really the traditional rental model is a model set up for aggravation. Someone is not going to be happy, generally speaking. You don't pay me rent, I'm unhappy. I don't fix something, the tenant's unhappy. Where this, it's like, hey, we're wanting your experience to be amazing. And so it's just like, it's a lot of kind of hospitality, which me and my wife love.
Yep.
And so it's a lot different and more pleasant asset to own.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of fun, not a lot of aggravation at all.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So the fourth C you had was coffee. So that one seems like what is the one thing that doesn't fit here? And it's coffee. Tell us about that.
Well, you got to stick with the 5 C's. Coffee, and we do cinnamon rolls. We know so the Silos Baking Company, we know the actual person who makes those cinnamon rolls. So we just go get it from her bakery, and we provide those every morning. That's kind of just an extra step we do to really kind of bring it home. Those cinnamon rolls are heavenly. They're so good. And so the coffee, we get a Keurig, and we make sure that thing's stocked and it gets used. You don't really have to have stuff to make a meal. We don't even have an oven, like a range in our Airbnb. We've got like a toaster, a blender, and a convection oven, like one of those little ovens that you put little tiny things in.
So you actually removed the oven then, right?
Yeah, we're talking about a 700 square foot, 3-bedroom, 1-bath house. So it's pretty small.
Okay.
And the other 2 that we have under contract that we're going to make Airbnbs, those are bigger, so we'll have an actual full kitchen. But we were thinking we're either going to have a dining room table or an oven range. We're like, people aren't going to cook when they're here, so for the most part. And
so the coffee thing is just back to the experience, right? Like, make them feel comfortable there.
For sure, this is home. Oh, this is the same Keurig pod that I use when I'm at home.
Yeah.
So it makes you feel warm inside, and warm inside equals 5-star reviews when you're done. So. And
that's and what you're trying to do there, I presume. So I know somebody else that I had talked to before, and they're like, I always leave a bottle of wine in there and kind of a little welcome note, like, thanks for coming here. But it's just, nobody expected that. You're just like,
right.
Oh, wow, this is cool. I didn't expect that. And it just helps you get more towards a positive experience and positive review ultimately, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Last C, conveniently located.
Conveniently located. That one is a little more intuitive, but let's talk about it.
Sure, sure. So, the best, if you pull up a map of where all the Airbnbs are, the ones that are full the most are in the zip code that the silos are in, and so the ones that kind of have their, I would imagine that a mediocre Airbnb would still outperform a conventional rental, but it might be a little, nerve-wracking if your Airbnb is only rented out twice or three times a month, but it's on the weekends, but you're still getting $1,200 to $1,500 on a house that, would only make you like, $800 traditionally. And so,
Right.
so I would say, if you're looking to get into the Airbnb industry, you're going to need to get a place that has a little transiency and has a little tourist vibe to it. And so, obviously beach locations, mountain locations, that sort of thing. And so,
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the actual management of them. Like, what I want to share your thoughts on what happens day to day. Like, what you obviously have property management and maintenance, I guess, in terms of like keeping the lawn mowed and keeping the house looking good. And like, how do you kind of operationally get that down to where you're not having to do it?
yeah. So it starts at the beginning. If you go on Airbnb.com right now and you pick a random place, there's about a 50% chance that it's going to say that the host has to approve you. And what we've learned, so that's we're trying to eliminate ourselves. And so most people that are getting on Airbnb aren't going to be serial killers. And so we just allow them to auto book. If they start asking us some real weird questions, then at that point we'll probably say, there's
Right.
whatever.
Is there a wood chipper in the backyard? Or
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We don't want those people. But so allow an auto book on Airbnb, allow a guest to auto book, and all of a sudden you're printing money. My wife sends out a copied text message. So it's the same text message that goes out to every single guest. She does it if check-in's at 3, she'll do it around 2. This is where you park. This is the lockbox code. This is there's going to be cinnamon rolls here. This is how you cook them. This is what to do when you're done. When your stay is over, this is what you need to do to get to not get charged a small cleaning fee or that sort of thing. And so we're having a lockbox in the door, so we don't have to open it for them. And then at that point, we've kind of explained it. After guest checkout, we get our cleaning. We get Cammie over there to take care of everything else, and she kind of just takes ownership at that point and does a typical turnaround, make sure toiletries full, that sort of thing.
Yep. And how about just stuff like maintenance and things? I mean, does the guest usually lets you know, or maybe your cleaning person lets you know that there's an issue and they know what to do about it?
Yeah, the guest, our house just, we've had the AC go out. We've had the shower knobs stop working. They broke. And then we had the epoxy come up on the tub. And so, it's not fraught with it's not that there's no challenges. It's that the challenges are a little different. Once you get them, you got to take care of them immediately because they have to take hot showers. They got to get, especially in Texas, air conditioning is on, 80% of the time. And so, yeah.
And is there does it make sense? I know you guys have multiple Airbnbs and are looking to add more. So do you think for folks that are listening right now, it gets easier with volume? Like you can start to develop more systems or have the cleaning. It's not any harder for you to ask the cleaning person to clean 1 more or 5 more.
We've actually
the efficiencies you might get when you scale up.
Yeah, we've talked to her, and she's ready and willing to do some more for us. Our goal is to have 10 by January 2019. So we got another 6 months, and we have 3 now. So pretty much instead of flipping a house, unless we just need the revenue, we're Airbnb-ing it out because it just has substantially more upside consistently. So I get paid on a flip every month automatically.
Yeah. And I know you had mentioned to me, so the thing with the silos and all the magnolia stuff, it's hot right now, but it might not be forever. Like that might die off. And if that happens, I mean, I think some people that are when you're an entrepreneur, you know that not every opportunity lasts forever, right? You kind of like, I'm going to ride this out for as long as I can, and then we do something else. And there's nothing wrong with that. Of course, some people that are naysayers are like, well, yeah, but someday this is going to happen. And you're like, well, and you're like, well, we'll just deal with it, right? But for them, that keeps them from doing things, right? So let's talk a little bit about if you're in a market where things change, right? Like something is hot, but then it's not, and what you do then.
Yeah, well, to kind of hit on the fear piece, fear is the biggest liar in town, or liar ever. And the truth is, like, by not pursuing your dreams, you're basically sabotaging yourself. You're saying to yourself that your comfort and your fear is stronger than your dreams. And so let's just hit on that. My first house I bought, I remember getting in the car going and freaking out and go, what did I just do? I was thinking I just like made the biggest mistake of my whole life. And like, the truth is, like, once I got over that panic attack, like that's one of the best rentals I've ever bought, was my first ever house. And so what I would do is just, taking action is key. And after going in that rant, I can't remember exactly what your question was.
Well, it was more of just like, if things change, like if you're,
let's
say people are buying stuff near a sports team, and then the sports team moves on the other side of town, right? I mean, that stuff is going to happen, but how you kind of plan to just roll with it.
Yeah, so our goal is to not have our properties over leveraged. So we want to be around 70% LTV or less, on a debt position, so that if that does happen, we can get out of it. The goal is to make money every month, not to juice that equity as much as possible. And so we want to be around 50 to 70% loan to the value of the property. And then if things dry up, I still think it'll outperform a regular rental. But if it doesn't, then we can throw traditional tenants in there. The houses they're in C+ to B- areas, but the finish outs are A+. You got marble, you got hardwood floors, you got granite, you got quartz and butcher block countertops, that sort of thing. So I'm pretty sure they would still rent out at a premium, but at the same time, you can always sell them. That's the thing. Right. Glorious thing about real estate is it produces cash, and when it doesn't, you just sell it off, and you can take that money and put it into something else.
Yeah, especially single family houses. They're pretty liquid, right?
Correct. Yeah. Everybody needs a house.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, if folks wanted to learn more about you or some of the stuff you got going on, where could they go?
Yeah. You can reach out to me via email. My email address is travis@texas-trust.com. And, we buy houses all over Texas. We I do some, coaching. I just do some kind of private coaching. But I really, before, I think the biggest give of my time would be a website that we use to analyze Airbnbs. And it's a website called airdna.com. It essentially takes the Airbnb data, which, right now data is huge. Everyone's making decisions off of data.
Right.
It takes the data, it filters it, and then it communicates a few things, or it communicates a lot of things, but if you want to see like, hey, is Tulsa, Oklahoma, or Bentonville, Arkansas, a good Airbnb area? One would assume probably not, but we're not in the tourist industry. But you can pull this up, and it'll give you a market grade. So Waco, of course, is an A+ because we have such a high demand right now because there's no hotels and over 1 million people come here. It'll tell you the average daily rate. It'll tell you the occupancy rate and what you should get for revenue. It'll tell you who your competitors are and who's kicking tail the most. Yeah. And you can really analyze a lot of that data. And obviously, analyzing data correctly helps you make good decisions.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm going to check that out myself. So
yeah,
cool.
The coolest thing is you can put an address in there, and it'll tell you everything about that one property.
About the property of an Airbnb property, or
you can. So my Airbnb, 2104 Columbus Avenue, Waco, Texas. I can put that on AirDNA, and it'll tell me what I should be renting it out for, what the demand is, in my competitors in my zip code, which is
that's
great.
Awesome.
So
yeah, I think for Airbnb, I told you we've been thinking about doing this. So that was always one of the big questions. I was like, well, how often is it vacant? I don't know. How often would it be vacant? What could you actually rent it for? I don't know. I'm just going to be guessing. I didn't, before you mentioned this product, I knew we could go to Airbnb and try to find something close by and see what it rents for, but you don't get a whole lot of the story there other than what they're asking for rent right now. Right. So.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, you see these houses, and you're like, man, these things are just raking it in, and then you realize, like, oh, they just don't actually. They're not. They just don't have the availability, and so like it looks like they're full, but then you realize, oh, there's, the family's staying there Monday through Friday. So
Yeah, that's interesting.
they
Yeah.
people on the weekend, and so if you're looking at making a major purchase, and then you're like, oh, wait a second, like the data I was looking at on Airbnb that I was just kind of guessing at, it's actually not true. That can keep you from really taking a hickey on a property.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome, man. That's a good share. Appreciate that. We'll add a link for that down below in the show notes here for those of you that weren't able to write it down. But awesome. Hey, Travis, thanks for being with us today. Great to see you, my friend.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, Mike. Take care.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, everybody. This is episode number 428 with Travis Baucom. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to us on Stitcher Radio, iTunes, Google Play, wherever you listen to us at, even on YouTube. Or, of course, you can watch all of our shows, over 1,500 shows across the different podcasts on flipnerd.com. Those ratings kind of give us the fuel to keep moving forward here and keep bringing episodes at you. So awesome, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. If you're an active real estate investor already doing deals and looking to double or triple your business, you should consider joining the Investor Fuel Real Estate Investor Mastermind. We're a small group of investors that share our best practices, tips, and tricks with one another in an effort to all win. Real estate investing can be a lonely business for successful real estate investors, but it doesn't have to be. Investor Fuel members meet 4 times a year, but we talk to each other 365 days a year, and we focus on improving the profitability of our businesses, improving the quality of our lives. That's why we do this, right? And making an impact on those around us so we can truly leave a legacy. We limit our membership to only 1 to 2 members per market, so everyone shares their knowledge, tips, and tricks openly and honestly. Our members include some buying 1 to 2 houses a month, up to some of the most respected investors and leaders in the real estate investing industry, some of which have personally done over 1,000 deals. If you'd like to be considered for our invitation-only world-class mastermind, please visit investorfuel.com to request your personal invitation. Our next meeting is coming up quickly. Go to investorfuel.com now to learn more. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the FlipNerd.com Investing Show. If you're not yet an elite member of FlipNerd, you're missing out. We have tons of great training, including a new detailed master class published each month and live training webinars with experts twice a month. Plus, you'll get access to all of our archives, where we already have a growing library of master classes and other training videos. Elite members also get membership in our incredible online mastermind group, where many of the top real estate investors from across the country, including many of the hundreds of guests I've had on the show in the past, are already members. Whether you're brand new, looking to get started, or a veteran, you simply must join today. I promise you won't be disappointed. To learn more or join today, please visit flipnerd.com/lab. That's flipnerd.com/lab. See you on the next show.